All right, welcome back to the Black
Multiverse Theory Morning Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the second hour of the Black Multiverse Theory Morning Show. Current temperature in the capital city is minus 12 degrees. It feels like minus 10, high today of minus 2 degrees Celsius, low of minus 11, increasing cloudiness. Chance of precipitation 2% today, so it's about a 98% chance that it will not rain or snow. It's 8:16 right now, Saturday, January 7th. Good morning.
Good morning, people. So we have been talking about a Roti competition that is happening in the city.
In this very city.
In this city. It started off as a harmless thought.
Harmless fun, and it became harmful fun.
It's now blown up into a great
international proportions.
International debate.
Right.
So we are now frantically looking at what this competition is going to be like.
So just to catch the people up, at Melanistic Magazine, we've got both Greg and Nigel here, who are culinary moderates. So, what's not a culinary expert? Culinary moderate level. And they have been, for the last year, they had a sorrel contest. It was almost 2 years ago now, I think.
It was 2 years.
Yeah, so in this post-pandemic thing, time doesn't exist. But in any case, a couple of years ago, they had the sorrel contest, and we drank the sorrel, and we judged them on the sorrel. I don't think we came out with a winner or a clear winner in that competition, though I'm almost positive that Greg thinks that he is the winner of that one.
Yeah, well, I kind of knew that mine was going to be not the greatest because I used the wrong spirit.
You used many spirits, including the wrong spirit, because you used some of the right spirits.
I used the wrong one. I used the wrong one in there, and I put it in. If I didn't have that one, it would have been fine.
However, the time has saved you, because over time your sorrel evened out and was tapa in the final days.
It is gone.
Yeah, it is now gone. But it took, I think, 2 years to draw and to become what it was. So Nigel is the tortoise in the race, coming from behind and winning it 2 years later.
Yes,
Perhaps.
Which is not an actual win.
Not really.
Not really.
So
I left that one, Greg. Greg can definitely take the title on the
sorrel, yeah, sorrel off.
But
so this year, hey Keith, this year it's all about roti. So we know there's different kinds of roti, and when I say roti, I don't mean it in the Trinity way, which is a fully stuffed roti skin plus the inside. Many islands call roti just the skin. But we are now going to talk to Chris from Caribbean Pot. He is in Hamilton, not in Toronto. I'm sure that's annoying for Hamiltonians. Hamiltons, which I will call them from now on.
That's a whole different group.
The Hamiltons is what I'm going to call people from Hamilton from now on. So we have our friend here, Chris. Chris, if you check out CaribbeanPot.com, it is a wonderful website, has a ton of recipes. He also has YouTube videos that shows you how to do those recipes, both traditional recipes that you are out of the Caribbean, and some Caribbean inspired twists on new things as well. So Chris is definitely, it's good to watch, and I can tell you from experience that his food is also excellent. He cooked for the last year's Kerry West brunch.
Nice.
He had made a whole bunch of things, and it was, morning Barry, it was so delicious. So
all right, so we have on the line with us right now Chris LaRosa. Can you hear us, Chris?
Good morning, everybody. Am I hearing perfect?
Perfect.
Good morning. Man, that seafood pilau, that That seafood pilau on that CaribbeanPot.com looks so delicious.
And I can verify that it does taste delicious as well. You know, earlier I heard the talk there in regards to Nigel and his sorrel having to marinate to taste good a month or two later.
No.
And I must say, that is very diplomatic for Caribbean people to say, because we are bold and we will tell you when stuff don't taste good, man. I think you guys will be diplomatic and say, yeah, it had to sit and yeah.
No, he put absinthe in, so the absinthe had to burn off.
Yeah, I went and I made the sorrel. I soaked everything. I got my leaves. I did everything. I put in my anise. I put in my bitters. I put in everything. My ginger. I put in everything in there, and my orange rind. Right. I did all of that and soaked it. It tastes amazing. Then I put in a little rum. But it wasn't giving me the burn I wanted in my chest. I wanted a little. I wanted a little more. You know, I wanted a little more. I wanted you to taste it, and then after you got up from the table, you stagger a little bit when you got up from the table. So I was looking for the strongest liquor that was in my vicinity, and I picked up from the liquor store. I actually went downstairs from the liquor store and bought absinthe.
Did you pick it up, or was it already in our thing?
I went and bought it, I think.
Okay.
And then I put it in. But absinthe has a very licorice taste to it. And it literally overcame the
dominated
entire sorrel and ruined it. But a year later, it burned out.
We were in Germany in 2006 for the World Cup, and
nice.
My first time having absinthe out there, and everywhere we went, and they have a technique out there where you put it over a cube of sugar,
set it on fire.
Like yeah, and you're supposed to see fairies. I'm like, if this thing is going to give me hallucinations, no thanks. No.
They call it the green fairy, yeah?
Yeah, so yeah. In the end, a year later, it burned out, and then the actual feeling that I wanted, it actually took place, and the taste of it went away. The licorice taste. Okay. So a year later, it tasted great. It was perfect, but maybe I should have lit it on fire and put sugar in it.
You probably didn't light it on fire. That was the problem.
I may steal that idea of lighting it on fire. A little bit of dramatics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, Chris, we have a couple questions for you this morning. We have 3 questions. First thing, I just want to know why roti is so important to us. In the Caribbean, we have roti in all of the islands, it seems like. How did it get there?
Well, you know, after slavery was abolished in the Caribbean, there was a shortage of labor especially in the sugarcane fields. So they brought in indentured laborers from India as well as China. And you will notice not only roti, but quite a few Chinese dishes has made its way throughout the Caribbean as well, and we call it our own. And that is the sort of journey. It came via the indentured laborers from India. So you find places like Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Grenada, Jamaica, where the East Indians settled when they came. Well, it was just a glorified way of saying slavery as well. It wasn't anything good about indentured laborship. However, we did get the food and the culture that came with it. So that is how, you know, we look at curries and all that, curry goat and all that stuff like that. That is how it came to the Caribbean, and that's almost 200 years ago. So it's been in the Caribbean for a long time.
For a while.
And what we've done over the years is put our own little spin on it and, you know, lovingly made it our own.
So what do you think is well, I guess it would be hard to say. What is the biggest difference between Indo paratha and Trini paratha, which we call also bus up shot? Is bus up shot and paratha the same?
It is. So the paratha is the actual roti, and then when we smash it, that's when, you know, it's like a torn shirt. That's what we say, the shirt bust up, so bust up shut, right? So it looks like a torn up shirt. I've had both, and to be honest with you, and I'm very proud of my heritage of being Caribbean, and I have to say that ours is better only because over the years, we've done a few things that we've made it bigger, so it's a lot bigger. The texture tends to be a bit more silky, And if you get it right, it won't be as oily as the Indian paratha, which tends to be a bit more buttery, a bit more ghee, that clarified butter. Whereas we would use maybe coconut oil or vegetable oil along with some butter. Back in the old days, Mommy would say she using butter, but meanwhile it was margarine lady was using, but we call everything butter. You know, back in the old days. And we won't get into the containers thing because, you know, sometimes you go in the fridge looking for margarine and all you find is leftover stewed chicken, some pilau, something.
A little okra.
Yeah. But that's the sort of journey it took. In my humble opinion, we make a better roti. But, you know, if I were from India, obviously I may say, you know, if I were Indian, I may be taking the side of the paratha that comes out of India. But then here's the thing about that. The different regions in India makes it differently as well.
Wow. So,
based on... While I may have tasted one or two, there may be a version very similar to ours. Somewhere in India out there.
Well, what I'm going to say is, assuming that you're an expert, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, who do you think has the best roti in the Caribbean?
You know, I think it's going to be a toss-up between Guyana and Trinidad. Again, because I'm of Trinbagonian heritage, I think I like my own a little bit more because I find when I go to the Guyanese restaurants in Toronto, I find it's a bit too doughy. You get too much of the dough and not so much of that silky layer.
It's almost doughier.
Like, you know, you think the French and croissant, and they have all those layers. When you pull apart a croissant, it has all these different layers. Right. A good bus of shot roti is supposed to be like that, very thin, and all these different silky layers in between.
Okay. I was actually saying that to Nigel the other day. He said he never heard that Guyana has roti. I said, what? Guyana come with the roti and curry?
Yeah. And I think the Guyanese one is a little bit smaller, and I believe they call it clap because when they take it off the tower, they clap it between their hands to smash it.
Yeah, claps or oil or just roti, to be honest with you. Because in Guyana, we call the bus up shot roti.
It's very similar, I think.
Yeah. And the last question I have, because these are two rookies here, Chris, and you are an expert. Now, I tell people that I can make roti, but the thing about making roti is very simple. But the thing about making roti is to be able to achieve that consistency over 10 rotis and then over time, right? So that is the part I think that takes practice and a little bit of wisdom. So what wisdom do you have to impart on these two rookie pros?
My mom swears by a certain brand of flour, and she always buys that one brand of flour.
Oh, okay.
So later
Which
on,
brand
as
is
you
it?
start making, I think it's 5 Roses or something like that.
Yes,
but you know, everybody has their preference. Everyone has their preference. But for me personally, I think is the sort of consistency or texture of the peas, the yellow split peas, when you boil it. If it's too hard, it's going to rip the roti later on when you're making the roti. And then it won't swell and it won't give you that sort of nice airy feeling in between. You got to control the amount of oil you use as well because it's very easy to get saturated. So in saying that, the temperature of your tawa, or if you're using a frying pan or whatever, try to keep it consistent. So when you add the roti in there, obviously the temperature is going to drop. You turn it up a little bit, and as it starts cooking, you turn it down. You try to maintain that temperature. The oil, and don't be overly generous, but always brush the oil onto the surface where you're putting it onto. That will help you create a sort of a crust, and it's not necessarily a hard crust, but just a little bit of a crust on the outside, which helps to give you a better quality roti. I know some people, they put a little bit of yeast in the dough, but you got to be very careful because then you're going to get an overly thick roti. And it affects the flavor as well, too, right? So the consistency of how you cook the split peas, obviously how you season the split peas when you put it in the food processor or the mill. So you want to put your raw garlic and your scotch bonnet pepper in there. And, of course, you want to, and the sort of tip I'm going to leave you with, if you're using what we call jeera or cumin, go with the seeds and dry toast it first, grind it, and then add it to the dough. That sort of dry toasting, it pulls out a lot of smoky notes from the jeera or the cumin, and it adds wonderful flavor to it.
Okay, I'm going to incorporate those into my own life, actually. One of the Guyanese places that I look to for some recipes, one of the ladies does use a little bit of yeast, but I always avoid it myself because I don't want the flavor.
Back in the old days, my mom would also put a little bit of, we call it cuisine, what's it called? The sort of vegetable fat that you bake with.
It's lard, I guess they call it. Crisco.
It's almost like lard, yeah, exactly. But it's not made of pork. It's made out of. Back in the old days, lard was the pork fat, but today we use vegetable fats. If you add a little bit of that, even if you're making the same bus of shot roti, if you add some of that to the dough, it gives you a bit of that silky consistency as well.
Yeah, my granny used a little bit of lard in her roti. All right, Chris, thank you. Thank you for coming on, for having this conversation. I hope I get to see you again, mostly because it means I'll be eating your food.
I wish you were able to come to the competition. It is set to come out pretty soon, and there's a video letting us know all the details behind it. So, but I think that because my heritage is from Trinidad, I think I have in my blood, like it's
in the DNA. Yeah.
It's inside me. Yeah, it's inside
me.
The
ancestors.
Like as soon as you started talking, I started to smell roti in the studio. I was like, "Yep,
nice.
That's it."
Chris, thank you so much. If you guys would like to check out CaribbeanPot.com, we've got traditional Caribbean recipes up there. Also some twists, new recipes with a little twist up there. Always has a little Caribbean flavor, a little twist. Not shy on the pepper in there at all. So check him out on YouTube. Also, you can check out his website, and we'll talk to you soon. And I think, do you have a cookbook?
I do, yeah. The Vibrant Caribbean Pot is a bestseller on Amazon.
Nice.
It won a Gourmand Award, and a Gourmand Award is like the Oscars for movies. We have the Gourmand Award for cookbooks. So
nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this Kingston versus Port of Spain, Guinea versus Chenet kind of
showdown
there. You have a great day, and we will chat again soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Chris LaRosa from Halifax. Hamilton. Sorry, Hamilton.
Leave that. Those Easterners alone.
Is it from?
If you say Ontario, I'm like, Toronto, got it.
From Hamilton.
I'm from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Toronto, got it.
Sorry. We Western Canadians are terrible for this.
We are. We're pretty bad.
But I appreciate him coming by to set Greg straight on what has to...
Hey!
Who has the best? So Greg invited him, and he told him who has the best.
I actually asked just so he could say Guyana, because I knew Guyana was going to be right there in the running.
You wanted him to say Guyana? He said Guyana. There you go.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to listen to a song. When we come back, we have What's Up with Raleigh's Reports. There's a lot of stuff coming up. So,
all right.